Yo, it's your boy AO, host of Lakers for Life Live, a Channel 4 fans by fans. And y'all, we up 2-0. We up 2-0 and did the thing. It was a rock fight, absolute rock fight. So many moments where you're like, are we gonna hold on to this? Are we gonna hold on to this? But man, what a win. The Lakers are going to Houston up 2-0. We took care of business at home. All the media, everyone that said the Lakers are cooked. Do y'all believe now? Do y'all believe now? Handling business. No Luka, no AR. KD back, and the Lakers handled business. We're going to break down the game tonight, y'all. I'm looking forward to this. Make sure if you're in on YouTube or X, drop your questions, drop your takes, drop your comments. I'm reading everything in the chat. Again, this is a Channel 4 fans by fans. If you haven't subscribed, definitely hit the subscribe button. Hit the like button on this video. We're a new channel. We're trying to get lit and build up. And I want to hear from y'all. I want to hear from y'all. How excited are y'all that we up 2-0? Let my man JRA up in here. Let's effing go. I'm hyped. I'm hyped. We're going to break down the game. Keep your comments coming. I'm reading everything live. Again, I'm your boy AO. Yeah, we're going to get into it. We're going to get into Marcus Smart. Oh, my God. LA, do we love Marcus Smart or what? Do we love Marcus Smart or what? This dude was born for the playoffs. Born for the playoffs. And, man, he had a killer game. That second half, oh, man. Laker fam, we did it. We up 2-0. We took care of business. I mean, let's kick it off. Let's start it off. Marcus Smart, y'all, 25 points, 2 rebounds, 7 assists, 5 steals on the night, 8 for 13 from the field, 5 for 7 from 3, 4 for 5 from the free throw line. Y'all, that defense he had in the second half on KD, which we'll get into, was phenomenal. Big plays from him. And I mean, if we go big picture right now, big takeaway, the belief is starting to exponentially increase. You can see it in the team. The way we kicked off the game, they believe. They are trying to make things happen and extend this series. And to go up 2-0, typically, it's just home teams taking care of business in the playoffs when they go up 2-0. And the series doesn't really start until a road team takes one from you, right? But we're in a different situation. We're in a situation where we're without our top 2 arguably players in Luka and AR. So even having the home court advantage, it helps. But to me, it was almost like we were on the road. Our backs were against the wall. We're down players. Houston's got KD coming back. So the fact that we won 2 games, despite the narratives, despite the criticism, is huge to me. It's bigger than just being a home team winning 2 games. This is true control of the series. And now you got Houston with their backs against the wall right now. Their backs are against the wall and they're the healthy team. And you just got to steal 1 in Houston to put this away. That's the big picture. We've put ourselves in that position. My man Rohan in the chat. What up, Rohan? Incredible game plan by JJ Durant was nowhere to be seen in the second half. He disappeared, y'all. I mean, let's start. Okay, we're going to start there. I know I was reading out Marcus Smart's stat line, but Rohan, yeah, nowhere to be seen in the second half. And KD came out cooking. He came out cooking today. And I was kind of like, oh, man, here go another KD GOAT level game. after an injury. He's been known to come back from injury and just light it up. And that's exactly what he did. And I was like, this is going to be a long game. This is going to be a long game. But in my previous show, there were some things we had to work on. We're going to break them down. It was the points off turnovers. It was the offensive rebounds. And I'm not saying we did a great job, a stellar job on that end, but, we'll break down the stats and see where we were able to mitigate KD's impact. But we were able to withstand that first half from KD. And like Rohan said, nowhere to be found in the second half. And Marcus Smart, back to my boy JRA, Marcus Smart was a big reason for that. Completely discombobulated KD. When you have to make him think, make plays, you give him defensive pressure. We saw that in this season. When we ran that blitz, we weren't even running a blitz like that, but when we ran the blitz, he got lackluster. He's not a playmaker. He's a shot maker. And I thought our defense was off the chain today. Tari Eason had to hit big buckets for the Rockets to stay in this game. Şengün wasn't the best. We were running the doubles. I'm going to correct myself from before. We were running the doubles effectively, and we were giving them their last resort. And Tari ended up executing on a couple, but the amount of defensive impact that we had and that discipline, especially when the offensive side of the ball was rocky, choppy, everything you can think of, that's what propelled us forward. That's what propelled us forward. And that's the big picture. We're up 2-0 in a huge first-round series without our two of our star players. And we're taking – that's a commanding take in this series. I don't think the media expected it. I'm not a media fan right now. They can go F off. This win was for them. What y'all saying now? Don't go on ESPN tomorrow and start applauding the Lakers and this and that and all the above. Y'all been counting us out. And then when you want a narrative and we're playing hot, that's when y'all get up on our back. The minute something goes wrong, oh, yeah, no, they're pretenders, they're fakers. Whatever it is. Y'all can suck it. The media can suck it. The Lakers are up 2-0. But Marcus Smart, he is by far the player of this game. The player of this game. The plus minus doesn't do it justice. And he was a -5 in game 1, which was crazy. We win by 7. He's a +3. But that stat line I read you at the top of the show. Big shots. Big defensive plays. That steal that he had in the fourth that led to that LeBron James dunk, that was a statement. That was a statement. So Marcus Smart, hats off to you. He started the game off on fire. I think he had 9 points in the first few minutes, ended up with 12 in the first quarter. Dude was scoring the basketball. And when you're getting two-way Marcus Smart, because we know Marcus Smart is the player that anchors our defense. He's our culture setter. He's the guy that brings the energy, sets the tone for our squad. And the fact that you got a 25-point output from him is unreal. You want to win this game when a player does that. And that's exactly what we did. We gutted it out. We keep going down the box score. Luke Kennard. Hey, y'all. How much money is Luke Kennard going to make this summer, along with Marcus Smart? This dude, I've been talking about it for a minute now. There's players that can expand their games and rise. There's players that are status quo and do their job, despite the circumstance. And if you would have asked me earlier in the season, or even when we just traded for Luke Kennard, I never expected him to be a riser. I knew there was a lot more dimension to his game than being a sniper three-point shooter, but I did not think he was going to be a guy that could expand his game than what he was already doing. And I thought he's been playing great this season, but 23 points. So between Marcus Smart and Luke Kennard, you got 48 points. Remember that duo that I said was missing? That are two of our star players? That scoring output is that level of production. They're not Luka and they're not AR, but damn, if you give me 25 and 23, Kennard had 6 rebounds. He had 3 steals. You give me that, we're in good shape. And can you imagine a situation, a circumstance, a scenario where AR and Luka do come back and we get this aggressive Luke Kennard off the bench? Can y'all imagine that? This Luke Kennard is an absolute bona fide stud. He's a hooper. He's a baller. And that is scary to have another Austin Reeves type of player that's coming off your bench. And if he can keep this mentality up, he's not scared to shoot. He's putting volume up. He had 13 shot attempts, went 8 for 13. And this is against a tough Houston defense with size, physicality, length. He had Amen Thompson guarding him game 1. And they didn't let loose game 2. He's doing this against an elite defensive team. Still shooting 3 for 6 from 3. Still shooting 3 for 6 from 3. So the volume's going up and he's still just as efficient. He's been an absolute pleasure to watch. And I've been putting out videos about Luke of just how much of a riser he's been. We saw it for sure as the season ended, but just coupled a 28-point performance with a 23-point performance. Unreal. Crazy how good LeBron makes players around him. What the haters gonna say about that? And still got his. Which takes me to LeBron James, JRA. 28 points, 8 rebounds, 7 assists, 1 steal. 8 for 20 from the field. Not the most efficient, but was 2 for 5 from 3. He got to the line 14 times. When was the last time we saw this type of free throw output for LeBron? The refs have it out for LeBron James. But he got to the line. Those 14 free throws were big. He had 3 turnovers. And get this, those 3 turnovers came early in the game. And I remember watching it where he got that double dribble. He threw the ball away. It was a sequence. And I'm like, yo, what is going on right now with LeBron James? What is going on? But you never doubt a dude with that much IQ and acumen and a guy who's been there, done that. Houston throwing some pressure. He's not a player that's going to get rattled by the situation. And to what JRA said, what the haters going to say about LeBron? Right? This team is shorthanded, and he's been empowering his teammates. And I put that video out of that was the biggest unlock to me in game 1 was not just that he had a great individual performance, and we had a hot shooting day in game 1. But he said, y'all let me lead and follow, and we going to get somewhere that we want to go to. And that unlocked, that player empowerment. Shay on the Beat was on my live last game 1, and he said it perfectly. He's giving the team confidence. He's trusting. And he's having masterclass games. And the fact that you can empower your teammates on top of that, that's what's getting to those 23-point outputs from Luke, the 25-point outputs from Marcus Smart, all savvy vets that have that made their career on what they've done. But when you have your alpha, your leader at the top going, hey, let's get this. We got to do it collectively, together. Let's box out. Let's play defense. LeBron James setting the standard for that. And the play is coming. The play is coming. And I was looking for more of an aggressive LeBron on the offensive end in game 2. I thought he had a masterclass in game 1. And our hot shooting really prevailed. But I did not expect hot shooting to prevail in game 2. And I think him being more aggressive on offense, and he finished with 28 points, close to a 30 ball, which is where I thought he'd be at, even though it was 8 for 20. What LeBron does is he brings that control and command of the game. I think we did all right in the non-LeBron minutes, and we'll do the game by the quarter-by-quarter breakdown, the team stats. But I thought we did okay in the non-LeBron minutes, but when he comes in, it's obviously different. And the way he kind of corrals the team, settles them down, you know, is huge. And talk about this. I'm going to say this. There's been a lot of hate on LeBron James through his Lakers tenure. I'm not going to lie, I'm a fan too, just like y'all. And y'all can drop your takes in here. Don't be shy. We're going to read them all out. But I've been frustrated with LeBron at times too. In the off seasons, sometimes, hey, if we want to have a better team, you need to take a pay cut. It's an 82 game season. But to me, this series, and I know he brought us the chip in 2020, which phenomenal team. He was phenomenal during that run. But this to me is such an awesome way to potentially go out. It's a legacy definer to me too, even though it's the first round. It's a legacy definer to me is because everyone has counted us out. I've been a fan and I've been frustrated at times with LeBron's play. He took a third man role, which was the right call on his part, JJ's part. So he finally made that sacrifice, which we were waiting for some time for this to really click, and it did. And the fact that his two running mates, his star players are out, and he's corralling this team. And we'll see if we can take this series. But to be up 2-0, I got to give LeBron James his already big bouquet of flowers from his illustrious career. But, for all of the different opinions out there about Bron, he is the epitome right now of a leader. And it's on a different level. This is what it means to be an alpha. And I'm not saying Luka doesn't have that capability or other players around the league, but for him to do this, the pop he has, he lives for the playoffs, and we see just an exponential increase in this play because this is where it counts. And we're seeing it on both ends, defensively, offensively. He's vocal. Just hats off to LeBron. I'm hoping this continues going into Houston. He understands the scenario and the situation. He's not satisfied. You saw his post-game interview. We got a tough one going into Houston, 2 games. But he's in this killer mode. And that killer mode right now is resonating across the team. Because you saw it from the, jump. And it was a rock fight. But you saw from the jump, we're ready to play. These guys are ready to go get a dub. And they're proving it. So hats off to LeBron James. I have to give him a shout out. He don't need it. He is who he is. But, man, you talk about all these years that he's had. And he's been on the Lakers for a really long time at this point. A big chunk of his career has been on the Lakers. And it seems like people just haven't embraced him completely. And I'm at fault with that too. I haven't embraced him completely. I'm a Kobe guy. Kobe is my GOAT, right? And it's been rocky at times knowing that, and I'm sure a lot of you, Kobe is your GOAT. So has there been a full embrace? I'm going to go on the record and say no. I haven't fully embraced. I'm a Laker fan, right? I'm not a stan. I'm not any of that. But what LeBron is doing right now is I feel like this series is culminating in the most endearment from the fans. What we've seen great playoff performances from him, but even that Western Conference Finals run. But I feel like in this moment, he is winning over the fans to a degree that just has not happened. Where if you're a Laker fan and you're not a fan of Bron, you never have been, and you've been turned off by him, I don't even think y'all can say anything right now. How can you not enjoy this play? And I feel like he's really winning over LA. And I know that sounds crazy because he's just performed at such a high level. over the course of his Lakers tenure. But to me, it's just different. It just feels like the fans are really embracing. And to Shay on the beat, my boy, in Bron, we trust 100%. 100%. Without a doubt. Without a doubt. And Shay on the beat going to be back on the show as this playoffs continue. So we going to have some dialogue there. But I agree. And I have to get that point across is I feel like this is the moment that the fans are really embracing LeBron. It's so crazy. And it happened under like circumstances where we've lost our, stars. Luka's kind of been handed the torch. He's been the king of LA. A lot of fan embrace there, but I think it's a really awesome thing to see. And whatever happens to LeBron James in the offseason, I just think this is a really dope moment for him in his Lakers tenure. And I get it's a first round series, but it means a lot. It means a lot. And I think there's a full embrace, whether you're a LeBron hater, LeBron, observer, whatever it may be. So I had to get that across. And again, if y'all are watching for the first time, this is Lakers for Life, new channel. Make sure y'all subscribe. I put up hitters, I put up content. We're a new channel. We got a lot coming. We're building up. And this is a channel for fans by fans. We ain't the big influencers. We ain't the big podcasts. But if you a fan and just like to talk Lakers basketball and hear a fan perspective, put it out there. This is the channel for you. And I encourage y'all, drop your comments, drop your takes, drop your questions. But to finish off, the kind of box score watch, Rui Hachimura, 13 points, 5 rebounds, 2 assists. He smoked that layup in the fourth quarter, which pissed me off because we were in the midst of a run and the game was so close. But the dude hit some big threes today. 3 for 6 on the night, 50%. He is, I believe I saw a stat that Rui is the leader in three-point percentage in playoff history. Someone fact check me, but I thought I saw that stat, which is wild. I mean, Rui is another one. I don't know if he's a riser, but he does stay and he stays true to his role in the playoffs. And I haven't had a huge gripe with him on the defensive end. He picked up 5 rebounds today. There was at one point there was a missed 3 that he had in the fourth quarter, which was a missed conversion opportunity. But he is playing his role well. When we go back to risers and to those that just play their role, Rui is one of those guys. It don't matter what the situation is, he's going to play the same type of basketball. To me, the rise was never going to be on the offensive end. I just wanted to see him use his physical attributes to finally be the defender we've been desiring for his Laker tenure, right? And I know it's wishful thinking, but we've seen situations or spots of him playing defense and at least being focused on that end. And that's all we can ask for, is to collectively within a team effort, play within a team defense and play your role. We don't need you to go out there and, be someone that we know you're not, right? We just want you to just be locked in and help the team. And he had 5 stocks in game 1. Didn't have any today, but I still thought he played well. DeAndre Ayton, a bit of a quiet game, 6.5 rebounds. It wasn't the same impact we necessarily saw in game 1 from a counting stat standpoint. I thought he was a little bit soft with the ball today. Going back to, what JJ said at one point in the season was he just can't catch. I thought he was a little soft today, even with his jumpers, taking floaters. He had a couple good lob finishes. He had that, I thought it was interesting when he had that one little bunny that Jabari Smith smacked out of bounds. And they were talking after that. And then he tried to go in for the yam. I really wish that went down because I think it would have just been a big boost for him. But I thought he was a -5 tonight. But that poster was nuts. Yeah. That would have been a play of the game to me if DeAndre Ayton put that one down. But, he was a -5 tonight, and I think there was a little bit of lackluster play. We saw Jackson Hayes get the majority of the minutes in the second half. And I'll get on Hayes in just a second. But I think DA has played good straight-up defense on Şengün. Like, Honestly, I think he has. I don't think there's a debate with that. And we'll get into the Rocket stats soon, but I think he does play uh, you know, good. He's playing good standalone defense, and he wasn't necessarily efficient on the offensive end. He was 3 for 8 today. If that dunk went down 4 for 8, would have finished with 8 and 5. I thought that game was cool. But let's see, now that he's had one good game in game one, he had a bit of an underwhelming game in game two. How does he sustain his level of play going into Houston? And we've seen him do great things in Houston in the season. And I think for him, it's not so much the counting stats. If he can be someone that can be aggressive on the offensive rebounds, that's going to be huge for us. So I'm very curious to see. I have a big question mark on DeAndre Ayton for game three. Like, hey, it's okay. Playoffs are all about bouncing back after a game. You let your teammates, if they're covering for you, they're covering for you. There's sacrifice. Play your role. Keep the same level of focus and effort, and it'll pan out. So if y'all have any opinions on Ayton, holler at me. But I don't think this was a game where we go, oh my God, here we go. He sucks. I think we did our thing in a different way. It was a rock fight today. Jackson Hayes carried most of the minutes in the second half. Like I said, 6 points, 4 rebounds, 2 blocks, 1 steal. So we had 3 stocks, 4 for 5 from the free throw line. Jackson Hayes, to me, too, has definitely taken a leap from last playoffs. I think he's a better player than what he was. He did not have a good game one. Şengün was carving him up. And I think Şengün still is a problem for him. There are plays where he does he does make boneheaded plays. He had that offensive foul at the towards the end of the game on a rebound. And when we want to ensure that we're getting the rebound, he pushes Şengün into LeBron. So I'm still, I think Jackson Hayes gives us energy. I think, on our last show we mentioned, with Houston kind of crowding the paint, what can he really do on the offensive end? He's not really going to be that rim runner. And that's where I think DeAndre Ayton has the advantage, because he's good in the short roll. He can finish at the rim, versus Hayes is purely an energy player, gets dunks, gets putbacks. And, we saw some monster dunks from him. We saw him get to the line. He made his free throws, which I thought was fantastic. So we'll see. I will say, and I brought it up, I had, Jovan had a post up, and I had tweeted him, or, X-posted him, or whatever you want to call it. And I mentioned, hey, is it time to maybe look at a Maxi Kleber? And I know Maxi Kleber has been this tease, days he has good games. He's either injured the next game, but with the physicality of this game, I feel like he can do a good job on Şengün, still space the floor. He brings physicality, which is what we really need right now. I'm curious if JJ ends up giving him some spot minutes instead of those brawny minutes at the beginning of the second quarter, which I think we can do without. It was cool in game one that LeBron got to play with Bronny, but that was cool. But no, I maybe some spot minutes from Maxi, when Şengün's in, to focus on the defensive end. Let's put it out there. Maybe. If y'all have an opinion on that, let me know. I'm going to go into a player right now. Well, before I get into this player, and I think y'all know where I'm going to head. Jared Vanderbilt had 5 rebounds today. He was a +8. Jackson Hayes, to my last point, was a +12. And as much from the eye test where you can get frustrated with Jackson Hayes, he had an effective half. He played 21 minutes, a lot of it in the second half. +12. Jared Vanderbilt has been a +8. And with KD back now, I think Jared Vanderbilt is someone you need to continue to put out there. He's going to get those corner threes. We had 2 possessions in a row where we were feeding him the ball, and these threes were just not really there. He had one in game one, but I still like his defensive energy. And even though he's picking up personal fouls, I like the energy. And I think he has a role in this series. And He only played 13 minutes tonight, and I think he mucks up the game, which is what we need in games that are rock fights. But Jake LaRavia, my fucking good. I don't know if I can cuss on here, but my goodness. And JRA said it. Jake LaRavia can't be playing in the playoffs with that kind of offensive bag. Only negative from this series so far, in my opinion. I've been a Jake fan, and my guy Shay on the beat, who commented earlier, is a huge Jake fan. When I'm pissed off at Jake, he levels it out and tells me about the hustle plays. And I see him. I see his hustling, and I see him rebounding. But today was just a dumpster fire with more gasoline on it, and someone exploded fireworks and dropped that dumpster in the ocean. He was absolutely shit today. He had a sequence in the game where he picked up 3 straight fouls. And I'm going, bro, are you insane? Are you kidding me right now? Do you really want to sell this game off? He had that turnover where he just passed the ball to Şengün. What are you thinking? And that play, we'll get into the breakdown, but like on big takeaways, that I will say this, and y'all can disagree or agree with me, but that led to that 15-0 run the Rockets had in that first half, where we were up 15 and they just came back with the run on themselves. That play, I had watermark. I was like, yo, what in the world was that? That is not going to lead to good things. And, you know, then he caps off his 16 minutes with that air ball, and he's limping now. So we don't even know if this dude is hurt, but you end your shift with a sprained ankle and an air ball 3. I'm tired of his air ball 3s, y'all. I don't know how wide open you can be. I see 67 people in this chat right now. I can guarantee you about 75% of us will at least hit the backboard or the rim. This dude sails off so many shots. And we talk about his hustle, his defense, all of that. I'm not disagreeing with that. He does bring a level of physicality. But at this point, what's the difference between Jake LaRavia and Vando? If you go look at his stats, I think he shot 31% for the season from 3. Vando was at 29%. And we think Vando is a completely shit non-shooter. Jake LaRavia is actually known to make 3s. And this dude has just not been able to put it together. And I get the hustle, the rebounding, all that, sure. But in the playoffs, the lack of shooting gets exposed. And he wasn't even good on the defensive end today. When those 3 consecutive fouls happened, and then JJ had the audacity to put him back in the game, I was like, bro, you're bugging. You're bugging. Get this dude out. He needs to recalibrate. Someone needs to talk to Jake LaRavia because, bro, you have gone from someone that Laker fans have enjoyed watching. You played all 82 games. You play hard. But get your head out your ass, bro. Because what you're doing on the floor right now is complete trash. And I think those minutes can go to Vando, and I think you could fit in some Maxi Kleber minutes. Because I've seen enough of Jake in game 1 and 2 to where I don't see how Jared Vanderbilt could be any worse, and I don't see how Maxi Kleber can be any worse. I hope he does bounce back and someone talks to him, gets his confidence up on the offensive end. He's making shots look difficult. He was 0 for 2 today, but those 2 shots were probably the worst shots I've seen in the game. He had another take to the basket, which I don't know what he was doing, bringing the ball back behind his head, putting it up. Like, bro, just go up straight up and put up a shot. Like, what are you doing? You're doing way too much. But he pissed me the hell off today. I don't know if y'all have an opinion on Jake, or if you disagree with me, let me know. Because we like it or hate it and drop a comment and debate it in here. So let me know. But bro was I mean, what's wild to my take, and someone could bring it up like, yo, his plus minus is a +8. And I know plus minuses you can use to form a narrative or they can negate a narrative. That +8 and what he did on the floor don't align to me. And I think I have some ball IQ for sure. I also have eyeballs, and plus minuses can mean a lot of things. He didn't have it today. He didn't have it today, y'all. And this dude need to get his head out his ass because I've seen enough play where his offensive game is just completely tanked. Completely tanked. I have no confidence when he shoots the basketball. None. He's on the opposite side of a Luke Kennard spectrum. Luke, anytime he puts up a shot, I don't care what it is, I think that thing is going in. Jake, wide open. I've seen too many air balls on wide open threes where I'm like, I know you're fucking lying, but nah, he really does this. He really does that. But we're gonna be positive, and I hope whatever is happening gets fixed going into Houston, where it's not gonna be easy. It's not gonna be easy. But that's really the box score. I mean, today, Houston, Kevin Durant finished with 23 points, 7 for 12 from the field. But like Rohan said earlier in the chat, dude disappeared in the second half, and a lot of it had to do with Marcus Smart. Jabari Smith Jr., 7 for 16 from the field, 3 for 7 from three. That stat actually surprised me today. He didn't play well, but I think he's going to have a game in Houston where he goes off. We've seen it. You know, he's kind of been that guy who's been a steady force for them, especially from the perimeter. Şengün, a little bit better today, 9 for 20. He finished with 20, 11, 5, 4 steals. Again, I like DA's one-on-one defense with him, straight up. I think he does his thing against Jackson Hayes. But we'll continue to see how he plays. Much better game from him in game one. And, Amen Thompson is going to continue to do his thing, 16, 5, and 9. He had tenacious defense. That guy is so good. And if you watched my videos when I kind of laid out my top 5 swing factors to this series on the Lakers being competitive or not, Amen Thompson was the X factor. And I don't think he's completely been dominant, where he's killing us in transition. You know, he's still doing his rebounding thing. He only had 5 tonight, but so he wasn't as active as typical. But he's a guy that's still an X factor to me because his defense is just so tenacious. You saw how many turnovers he forced. I mean, he had Luke Kennard right at half court, making him, back court violations, all of that. That defense is real. I mean, there was that play where it was almost a bang play. Marcus Smart, I thought, was gonna get that call, that Houston challenge with the extension, but he gets you into a blender, and I'm not sure what the adjustments are gonna be for Houston. We'll kind of go over it at the end of the show, but he's a guy that maybe do you put full time on LeBron, completely take him out of the game instead of KD on LeBron. KD started the game off on LeBron, which I thought was interesting. He spent a lot of time on Kennard, but the actions that JJ has been running have been fantastic. I think Luke Kennard's getting great shots, great looks. He's got that IQ. But his play essentially just replaced what Reed Sheppard did in game one. Reed Sheppard had 17 points in game one. Reed Sheppard had 0 points today. He only played 10 minutes, 0 for 4, and Durant only had 23. So you're talking about a 6-point increase when you're thinking about the volume Reed Sheppard had. And now Durant's in the game. and he had 23. Reed Shepherd had 0. They only got 10 points off the bench, and that was Tari Eason. He had 10 points, 8 rebounds, 4 for 14 from the field. Definitely made him a playmaker, and having to figure out, like, take the 3 ball. He was 2 for 6 today, 33%. 14 field goal attempts. That's our game plan right now, is when you're running the doubles out on KD, you're running the doubles out on Şengün, you have to leave one man open on the rotation. And he's their Jared Vanderbilt, right? Hey, Manarino's Burner, good live so far. New follower here. I appreciate the sub. Stay tapped in with us through the playoffs, my man. And feel free to comment, with any of your takes, man. We want to hear from you. But thank you for joining the Lakers for Life community. We got a lot of good things planned. So we're going to keep it going. But thank you for the sub. But going back on Tari Eason, that's going to be the play. And when you have a team that is already devoid of playmakers, right, it's really hard to come with a counter. Because what's your counter really going to be, right? Your playmakers right now are Alperen Şengün. Okay, you're big. You send the double at him and make him a playmaker at the top of the key. I'm okay with that, right? You want him to go one-on-one against DA with that little sweeping hook shot that he has? Okay. Maybe next game it goes down. He was 50% from the field today. It's not like he was terrible. Kevin Durant isn't a playmaker. We've seen that. We saw him disappear in the second half. And we've seen him when we throw the double out. He's not going to be a guy that's going to get other people involved. That's not his game. He's great at being a scorer. He's not good when there's ball pressure. And when there's no one to really kick it out to, who's he going to kick it out to make a play? Amen Thompson? You sag off of Amen and let him shoot a midi. I'll take Amen middies all game. So that's your other playmaker? Nah. Jabari Smith Jr. ain't no playmaker. He's a guy that's going to sit on the perimeter. He's going to wait for the ball, knock down shots from 3. So that's going to continue to be our plays, making a Kogi beat you, making Tari Eason beat you. Maybe Tari Eason has a game or a Kogi have a game where they're lights out from 3. You live and die by that. I'll live and die by Tari Eason going 4 for 6 from 3. A Kogi going 2 for 3. Because they don't have a playmaker. And those are the guys that are going to be open. And Tari Eason was getting to the rim smoking layups. So if you can still make Tari put the ball on the ground to make a play and put pressure at the rim, you live with it. In Ime, he don't really got much on the bench. Aaron Holiday ain't doing nothing. Jayshawn Tate's not doing nothing. I want to also bring up back to the ball pressure and how that affects KD. How many turnovers he have tonight, y'all? How many turnovers did he have tonight? He had 9 of them. 9 turnovers from KD. And a lot of that was that Marcus Smart ball pressure. He had that dude in the blender. All of 6'3", Marcus Smart against KD. That's what I'm talking about. He had 9 of the 15 turnovers today for Houston. And again, you just have to continue exposing their lack of a playmaker. That's something they're not going to get. I'm sorry, my light just went out, so we're going to be a little dark right now. But you got to keep exposing that. And I don't think there's a counter. Unless we just don't make shots either, it's going to be hard for Houston to make shots. I mean, they still got 23 out of KD. They got 18 out of Jabari, 20 out of Şengün, 16 out of Amen Thompson. Does Jabari have a big game? Go for a 30-banger against us in Houston? I don't know. But we're starting to see how you expose the Houston Rockets with what they have. And it's just, they're devoid of a playmaker, and you have to make them turn the ball. You have to make them turn the ball over. Now, let's pivot to our team stats. Check this out. So let's go into a comment real quick before the team says, JRA, you could say Smart's defensive performance was on par or even better than his offensive performance. Definitely one of the best Laker playoff performances I've seen in a minute. I don't disagree. And to say that his defensive performance was better than a 25-point output for Smart is saying a lot. Because he shot the ball real well today. But his defense, those 5 steals that he had and just his overall presence in forcing turnovers, you can't beat it. Marcus Smart is continuing to show why he deserves the money he's going to get in the summer, why we need to re-sign him, and why he's just a playoff performer that you need to have on the squad. Dude gets it. And yeah, Marcus Smart can do Marcus Smart things. We know that. We're Laker fans. We watch all the games. But I'll take that any day with the defense that he provides. So let's go into the team stats and break it down. So remember, if you watched my last recap of game 1, we had a huge point differential in points off turnovers. I think it was 25-9, something around that. I think we were a -6. We were a -19 in that metric. We were a -16 in second chance points. Right? They had 21 offensive rebounds to our 3. All right? He had 27 more shot attempts than us. We missed 9 free throws. Those were huge metrics. And I said, if we could control those metrics, that mitigates the impact KD is going to bring. And the fact that Reed Sheppard scored 0 and KD scored 23 already replaced itself. Points off turnovers today, we had 12 turnovers, a lot within the first half. It looked like more than 12. But Houston only scored 15 points off those 12 turnovers. Houston had 15 turnovers, and we scored 16 points off those 15 turnovers. That's a huge difference. We're a +1 now. When we were, I'm actually going to look this up because I really want to make sure I'm giving y'all the right stats. And I had this in my live, but I can't remember it at the top. But yeah, so it was 24-5. It was a 19-point delta in game 1. That's a huge swing. And I said, if we mitigate giving up points off turnovers, that right there is the number 1 key for whatever KD is going to bring. And we're a +1 in game 1. Phenomenal. 21 offensive rebounds to our 3 offensive rebounds in game 1. What was it in game 2? 17-9. And I'm trying to look up Lakers Rockets second chance points game 2. Let me see if I can pull that up. We were a -16 in game 1. If someone can bring up that stat, I can't find that right now. But I can say it wasn't the 16-point advantage that the Rockets had in game 1. I'm trying to see a stat. Yeah. Limiting second chance points is what I'm seeing. Preventing long-term offensive rebound, clean up defense for the second half, mitigating the Rockets' high-volume offensive rebounding. So overall, the fact that I can't find the stat right now and the offensive rebounding went from 21 to 17 and we went from 3 to 9 is huge. And that was a big difference. Between second chance points and points off turnovers, it was a minus 35-point delta in game one. That's insane. And we won by 9. Think about that. We won by 9 and we gave up 35-point differential in those two metrics. And today, I don't have the second chance points. If someone is looking that up, drop it into the chat. Let me know what the second chance points were. But we were a +1 in points off turnovers. And I can guarantee you they didn't have 36 second chance points. So we did work in those two categories, 100%. Free throws, we missed 9 in game one. We only missed 6 today. Better, 79%. And the fast break points, where Houston had an advantage in game one, we were neck and neck. We had 17 today. Houston had 20. So if you look at those metrics overall, it wasn't we took care of what we needed to do, and we won by 7 because of that. Because we said the shooting was going to drop. The percentages were going to drop. And we shot 46% from the field. We did shoot 46% from the three. We shot 52% in game one. But the difference was we had 13 threes in game two, which was 6 more than what Houston had. They only had 7 today. So although we shot 60% in game one, which was untenable. Like we're not going to keep that up. We moved down to 46% shooting, but we made more threes. That's a big difference in the game. That's 18 more points. So you win the points off turnovers, and you make 6 more threes than the Rockets. Where the Rockets have had an advantage, it was very prevalent in game one, where they had 27 more shot attempts. Today, they had 17 more shot attempts. They made 3 more field goals than us. They made 36 field goals. We only had 33. The difference was we just made more threes than them. So going into game 3, that's an area that I think where we need to focus. And it goes back to, Houston didn't have points off turnovers at the amount of game 1, but we give them a lot of shots. And they could have missed a lot of these shots, these second chance shots that they got. But they are getting a lot more attempts than us. And that's more at-bats. That's more cracks. And, these games are so close is because they're having higher shooting volume. And it's crazy. They lost in a game where they scored more field goals than us. We made more free throws than them, 22-15. So there's a 7-point advantage there. We shot 28, they shot 19. So that's where it's balancing out. But, to kind of give the takeaways, from a stat perspective, I think we cleaned up a lot of areas. We were hitting shots. We have to continue hitting shots. That was number 4 in terms of my key swing factors for the game is LeBron's going to do his thing, but the role players have to come to play. And those threes were all Luke Kennard and Marcus Smart and Rui. And they have to continue to do this. They have to continue to make shots, because if we go cold, which we could in game 3, this hot streak of shooting may not continue the first game on the road in Houston. That's where your defense has to continue to be your anchor, and you have to continue to force Houston into tough situations. You got to get them out of their spots. Are they going to shoot this poorly from 3 in Houston? I can guarantee you there is going to be an uptick, and we can track that. On our next live, let's see what they shoot from 3, because they shot 24%. There you go. Great. Thank you, JRA. Second chance points. The Rockets had 21. The Lakers had 17. That's a huge swing from game 1, y'all. Appreciate you, JRA. Appreciate you. So we were only a -4 there. So we said the two metrics where there was a point differential of 35 in game 1 were a -3 in game 2. And The Rockets only shot 40%. So, the games are still very close. And I think it's because we're not capitalizing on everything we can capitalize on. We gave up 15 turnovers. We only scored 16 points off those turnovers. That's about 1 point a turnover. I typically would like that to be at 1.3, 1.5 points off turnovers, right? So if you do the math, if you do 1.3 points, let's say on average for the turnovers times 15, that's about 20 points. So about 4 more points than what we got today if we're at a 1.3 average per turnover. That right there is an 11-point game. That's handily winning, right? And where we took our foot off the gas, and this has been kind of a theme so far between game 1 and game 2, that second quarter, y'all, that second quarter, the end of the second quarter has been killing us. I'm trying to see in my game notes. So in the second quarter today, so we start off the game lights out. Marcus Smart is doing his thing. We're up 4 at the end of Q1. I thought it was a solid Q1. But in quarter 2, it was ugly. Houston actually outscores us 19-17. And get this, we were up 15 at one point in the second quarter. So we scored 17 points in that second quarter. We couldn't generate offense. We do still have a 15-0 run, and we let Houston get back in the game. We had 4 turnovers in a row towards the end of that second quarter, and Jake LaRavia, that one turnover, the one that pissed me off, where he handed the ball gift wrap to Şengün, set it off. Houston goes on a 14-0 run. It was a wrap. Like, we were up 15. They were dejected, and we let them back in the game. And although we pulled it out, great. Love that. We know we love that. But to go into halftime after being up 15, up by only 2 points, you can squander an opportunity like that. And luckily, our defense picked up in the second half. But we still gave up 32 in that fourth quarter. It was just a rock fight. At some points, it was just bad basketball on both ends. We luckily matched their quarter 4 with 32. I thought in quarter 3, we went up 25-18, but it was a rock fight. Like, there was just some bad basketball stretches. We talked about Rui smoking that layup when he went for the reverse momentum play. We saw LeBron, that gimme at the bucket. That's a layup. That's an and one. He goes to the free throw line, only knocks down 1. But when we get the opportunity and we make Houston turn the ball over, we have to capitalize. And that's going to be so much more important when we're on the road for game 3. You have to take advantage of those opportunities, and you have to limit the turnovers. I think we did a good job on turnovers today. We only turned the ball over 12 times on the night, which is a huge improvement from game 1. We turned up 12 on the night. They scored 15 off those 12. So 15 divided by 12, roughly, I should know this, 1.25 points off of turnovers. So we have to definitely take advantage of when Houston turns the ball over. And these have been gutsy games. Your defense has to stay intense. I think if your defense can stay intense and you drive KD, make it difficult for him, and you're making Tari Eason, Josh Okogie, Jabari Smith, he's shooting a high volume. I think Tari Eason, Okogie, like we said, you could live by, but you have to anticipate a big game from 3 from both KD. I think Jabari Smith Jr., I feel like he's going to have a good shooting game 3 or game 4. I think game 3. And that's something you have to look out for. You don't want them to go get momentum early. right? You can live with Okogie and Eason threes. What you can't live with is Jabari Smith getting hot and KD doing his thing. So it's going to be interesting how Houston counters to that straight one-on-one defense again, but with Marcus Smart on KD, our blitzes, you know, with no playmaker, it's really hard to counter. Their back is truly against the wall. We just can't get them loose, and it's just going to come down to, can we keep up this level of intensity? We've built an anchor. Our defense has been great games 1 and 2. We have to continue that. You have to live on that as your foundation. You can't always depend on hot shooting. You can't. You can't depend on hot shooting. And, you know, you can't depend on a Marcus Smart 25-point game. You can't depend on a Marcus Smart 25-point game. So where are you going to generate the offense, right? When things are, your back's against the wall, your 3 ball's not going in. I hope it does. I hope we continue this hot shooting. We've been a great 3-point shooting team. We got Rui and we got Kennard. Those are great pillars to have from a shooting perspective. You can't depend on Marcus Smart always. We know he's streaky. So that's where, on the offensive end, you know, how do we generate offense? We saw today too, for as good as LeBron was from a leadership perspective. I was texting Shay on the beat about this, but it's not easy for LeBron to generate a one-on-one look against this defense. Luka is very good at that. Very good. And, you know, for LeBron to do Luka's very methodical with his dribble, right? It's not based off of pure explosion. And he's shifty in his own regard, right? And he's very methodical on where he positions the defense on his hip, you know, when he's trailing, and he has that ball IQ, and he can score in any which way. That's Luka's bag. I think it was difficult today at times for LeBron to just generate a one-on-one look. And it's no discredit to him. When you have an Amen Thompson on you, you even have a Tari Eason, you know, still being intense on the defensive end. Jabari Smith is long, right? Pause. It is tough to manufacture those one-on-one looks. So I think the actions are huge. And I think the actions, if JJ has plays and actions in his bag that we have not used yet, if you follow Cranges Mix Basketball, he had a post mid-game where he was telling, you know, we didn't run 8 of the counters to, I guess, top lock defense, right? I have to read more into that. But in the first half, we didn't have counters. So the point of all that, I would recommend, you know, you guys check out. He gets technical at times, but really, really good in terms of action reads and what we're doing on the offensive end. But what I got from that post was there are counters that we haven't used yet. So that's going to be very interesting because we're going to need to be very intentional in how we generate looks. And I think the actions we've been running for Kennard have been great, but this is where you have to be intentional on how you work DA into this. Obviously, you have to, you know, make reads off the defense. If they're cutting off that short roll and making you play one-on-one straight up, or they're just hedging, you know, what looks do we generate off that? You know, we don't want to force up jumpers. We have to keep the ball moving and rely on the 2 shooters we do have. Because honestly, you're not going to get much off the bench from Jake LaRavia and Vando. If Jake LaRavia surprises me and tells me to F off, I'm going to go have a big game. Shit, I'll take it. Tell me to F off. I just don't see that happening. So when you have the players that you do, you know, the shooting has to continue. And that's going to be, I think, a big difference for us in game 3. You know, I definitely want to watch more of the game to see if there's any intentional adjustments. I'll be listening to the pods. I'll be coming out with a recap of, you know, what I think are the keys. And we talked about a few of them on this show, but Number one, you have to continue anchoring on this defensive intensity and make Houston turn the ball over. That can't change from game 2 to game 3. That can't. If you're going on the road, your defensive intensity has to go up a notch. And that's where I think playing the Vandos more, maybe throwing Maxi Kleber out there for a different look and him, really being physical with Şengün to make him kind of go off kilter a bit. That's going to be huge. But I think we've proven that we can get, good looks. We might even see a Nick Smith Jr. sighting in games 3 and game 4. He's our only real burner off the bench. I mean, I wish Dalton Connect was that guy. I wish he was that guy, but he's not. So I'm very curious. That 3-point differential was huge. 6 more. We had 13 of them. And then that shot differential from field goals. If Houston doesn't have the volume that they have, where they're shooting that much more than us, this game is so much more different. We give them a lot of cracks. And, again, the key stat for me today was they made more field goals than us. We just made more threes. So I think it's going to be a really interesting look. But I'm hyped. One thing I will say is I know the team is hyped. That chemistry, that culture is on cloud 9 right now. And when you have a team that's feeling themselves and feeling each other like that and have each other's backs and they're going to war with each other, that's tough to break. That's really, really tough to break. And that's a team you want to go into a rock fight with, is they come together. We withstood the runs. So as bad as that meltdown was in the second quarter, we withstood that. And that second half, that defense really propelled us. And we made big shots at the right time. We controlled the game. We took their star player out of the game. And as long as we don't give the Houston Rockets gifts where we can kind of control our destiny in terms of not turning the ball over, capitalizing on turnovers we force, and making them pay for turning the ball over, I think we'll be in good shape. I really, really think we're going to be in good shape. And yeah, JRA said it. The crowd is coming alive in crypto. I mean, we may not wear the T-shirts like that Fiesta, whatever the Spurs did. Everyone in a freaking pink, green, yellow shirt. Cool. We don't do that. We don't do that at crypto. People got to get over that. But it's going to be loud. We know when there's good play. We know when we're hyped. We know when we have momentum. So now we're going on the road where we don't have the crowd behind us. So what you got to do, you got to suck the energy out that crowd within the first 6 minutes of that first quarter. And that's going to come with that tough defense. Muck this thing up. And I think, JJ's going to look back at the rotations, figure out, the areas where things have been working. How do we continue to make it difficult for KD? I mean, this knee contusion doesn't heal miraculously overnight. I'm pretty sure he's sore as hell. And the fact that they didn't come out with a win today and he faced that Marcus Smart defense that he did, I'm sure he's not looking forward to it. So we'll see what Houston's counter is going to be. So I think it's going to be really interesting. But again, if you're all on this channel, if you're on YouTube, please subscribe. We're new, we're building. We got some cool things coming out here. Me and Shay on the Beat got this idea in our sleeves to give y'all NBA intelligence at your fingertips. That's coming out soon. Shay on the Beat's gonna be back on another live for this playoffs. Tap in with me. I'm just a Laker fan like y'all. World of AO on X. I'm pretty active on there, active on TikTok, Lakers for Lifers. We got a lot of content. And JRA, I appreciate you, man. That's been one of my soldiers. He's a Laker for Lifer. JRA, keep it active. And I appreciate you keeping the chat going, my man. And again, y'all, if this is your first time at it, please, I welcome all y'all back to the next live. And definitely bring your questions, bring your comments, bring your takes. There's no stupid take, question, comment in this thing. And I'm totally good. If I'm ever wrong or you don't mess with my opinion, please Let's talk about it. I read everything live. I'm not a Laker guru. I just happen to love the team. I watch them diligently, and I just love to give my opinion, man. I'm always in my group text, group chats, talking to all my friends. Why not talk to all y'all and build a community with everyone? You know what I mean? Uh, Got to do a Laker game meetup next year. Hey, JRA, if we build the community, we got 88 people in the chat. I appreciate you, Manarino. Please keep tapping in. But we got 88 people in this chat. Let's get 88 likes on the YouTube vid. Let's get some subscribes. Let's build this thing up. We'll build it all together. And we're going to do some really cool things as we build this channel up. You know, again, I said we're for fans, by fans, which means I want fans on this thing. So with the meetups that JRA said, if we can get a community, I live in Southern California. If y'all live in Southern California, we'll love to have a meetup with y'all. You know, and that comes with building the community. And we'll watch a game together. That'd be a really cool thing if we could build up to that. You know, I just love talking Lakers basketball. You know, I've gotten to meet a couple of the influencers that I follow. You know, Ross Chapalu is one of them. Cool dude. Trevor Lane. I got to do a pod with him in Vegas 2 years ago during Summer League. That was a really, really fun experience. And yeah, I'm just trying to build a community with like-minded people that just love the Lakers and are not afraid. I don't keep it PC. When I'm mad, I can get erratic and irrational, just like a Laker fan does. And we come here and discuss, and that's when I need y'all to kind of be like, hey, man, yo, it'll be all right. You know, I get emotional too. You should watch me during a live game. It's a spectacle. Manarino wins the next one. We're going to be live Friday night after game 3. Tap in with me. Turn on your notifications. We're going to tap in right here. We're going to celebrate a win. If we go up 3-0, we're going to break down a loss and how we get the game 4 win, whatever happens. But just to finish off the show, I like to do a little bit of an NBA roundup. And my boy Shay on the beat, he's my brother actually too. But he's always down on the parlays and everything and just knows a lot of different angles of players on opposing teams. And I try to keep tapped in on the full NBA as well. So I got to watch some of the games today. Hey, yo, the Trailblazers beat the Spurs 106-103, and Wemby got a concussion during the game. Concussion protocol at minimum is 48 hours. So he has to pass in 48 hours to make it to game 3. And typical, I read on X that it's 7 to 10 days sometimes in the concussion protocol, depending on how bad it is. I mean, if y'all saw the replay, dude was like night, went to sleep, knocked out. It was wild. And, you know, we haven't talked about it yet, but, you know, Wemby is a player that he's a freak. He's a specimen in itself. He just won DPOY. You know, congrats to him. He's a finalist for the MVP. And I feel a type of way about that. I think he's getting his flowers way too early, and I could be a hater. Y'all tell me if I'm wrong. Y'all tell me if I'm wrong, if I'm a hater. And I don't want to make it completely Luka biased, but I just don't get how someone that averages 8 more points than you, 4 more assists than you, the defensive metrics, as the narratives may say that he's a bad defender, but if you look at the on-off metrics and the defensive rating, it's fine with him on. It's better, I think, even. How he's not a finalist with the season that he had, especially when the media counted us out and they thought we were a play-in team, and we're 1 game out of 3rd, 53-game win season. Could have been maybe 54, 55 if he didn't get hurt, and we didn't have all the injuries that we had throughout the year. Not to mention gelling the trio together and that stretch where we were under 500 in the middle of the season. How he's not a finalist and Wemby is, when if you look at Wemby's stats year over year, not a big difference. He only averages 29 minutes per game. So you have a team that's clearly built well and winning games. I think we've lost sight of the definition of what MVP is. It's most valuable player. right? Who has the biggest impact on a team? And the fact that, San Antonio was still in the game against Portland, they kind of smoked it off at the end. Denny's fire on Portland. But if you take Luke off this Lakers team, we're showing that, we're willing our way to wins right now in the playoffs. But during the season, that's tough. That's a tough task to ask 41-year-old LeBron to be our leader through 82 games. And Luka was balling out, playing out of his mind. And he's playing better basketball than even his 23-24 season when he was a finalist and he went to the NBA Finals. So I'm just really confused I think MVP is just super narrative driven. And it's narrative driven by media people that have a lot of recency bias, take shallow narratives, don't bother to kind of look into it or double click into it to give it more depth to validate if this is true or not. And I'm like SGA too. He's on the number one team, but MVP shouldn't be about best player on the best team. I don't think that's the definition of MVP. And, with how many fourth quarters SGA sat out, we know that OKC team is top to bottom, full of defenders. And for how much clout he gets in terms of being a two-way player, like, no, dude, you have a team of 9 other players on your team that are better defenders than you. Like, that team without him probably win close to 50 games. So he's a runaway MVP candidate all of a sudden when OKC slated to be number one, and they're really good without him. And I get it. Jay Will was out for for a good amount of time, but I just found it a little strange. I would have thrown, Jaylen Brown. He probably wouldn't have been a top 3. I thought he had a stellar year. No Tatum. But I'm just not sold. And I know I went on a bit of a tangent. I had to get that off. I just haven't given Wemby. I think where I'm at, and I could be in hater mode right now, I think Wemby's just getting his flowers way too early. Hasn't really proven anything just yet. They had a fire season. Don't get me wrong. San Antonio's great. We've beaten them in the season. DeAndre had one of his best games against Wemby. And I'm not discrediting Wemby. I think he's a great player. He's fantastic. He's going to have a great career in the NBA. Fantastic. He's going to be up there with the greats. But I think we're just giving the flowers a little too soon. I get he has this kind of ethical basketball mentality, and he's kind of like, I think that narrative is getting overblown. You don't think these dudes all compete? You don't think Luka competes just because he's not on a mic saying and criticizing everyone in the NBA for not playing hard in an all-star game or whatever you're trying to do during the season doesn't mean you're not a killer on the court or you're not going out there to win. Luka might be the biggest killer competitor I've ever seen. What narratives, him complaining to the refs, all those fat narratives and stuff. Like, I'm just tired of the media. In short, I was happy to kind of see Portland do their thing. And I think Denny is a ridiculous player. He only had 14, 4, and 3 today. Scoot Henderson was really the guy. Yeah, it's gotten political. It's gotten weird, man. And it's just media that I don't have faith in. I don't know if y'all watch ESPN. I can't stand Stephen A. Smith. I can't stand Kendrick Perkins. I used to love Inside the NBA growing up as a kid. And outside of Ernie, I can't even watch them. The basketball IQ and acumen is just like down the drain. It seems like they don't even prepare when they make their takes around the NBA. I mean, the prime guys, I think, are decent. They need to just up the personality and charisma a bit. But I like listening to Dirk. I think Blake Griffin has some interesting perspective. Udonis. They need a little more polish. They're new to this. Steve Nash is great too. Yeah, rocket sweep. So all the media, it's just so crazy. What are they going to say? That's why I said, what are they going to say tomorrow? And I don't even care. They can suck it. Because they haven't believed in this team. They only use the Lakers to create narratives because if they talk about anyone else, they're not going to get no clicks. No one's going to listen to Stephen A. Smith. He's got to say some shit about some player. He said Luka's injury was fake. He was faking it. Get out of here, bro. You lost me with that one. You completely lost me. I'm done. And I hope, and I made this point, is as much as we as fans, the media holds players accountable, especially star players, to an expectation, and they hold them accountable to that expectation. Who's holding the media accountable? Because it's not the same way. They get away with a lot. They can say whatever the hell they want for some rage bait clicks. And that's really what Stephen A. Smith is. He's kind of a troller. He's loud. He's kind of obnoxious at times. And I don't really see any in-depth analysis there. But who's holding them accountable? I think the media, especially these national media analysts, terrible. Terrible. I stopped listening to them. You know, I have my people that I listen to that aren't the big names, but, you know, they know ball. They can break it down. You know, they'll give you an unbiased perspective. We're fans. And, you know, I try to give an unbiased perspective, but I'm still a Laker fan at the end of the day, right? But those guys in the media is just super narrative driven and just lack depth. But it was a crazy win for Portland and a crazy win to round it out for Philly. Hey, yo, I know we all don't like Boston, but they're a killer team over there. Philly won by 14 today. And it was wild. When the ball don't go in for Boston, it can look bad. We know they shoot a high volume of threes. They shot 50 today, and we're only 26%. They made 13. We made 13 today. We made 13 threes today and shot 42%. They shot 50. That is ridiculous. So you lose by 14, but if you shoot 33% and make, you know, what, 15, 16 threes, that's three more. It's kind of a game. So I'm curious to see if Boston's going to continue shooting this bad. I don't think they are. They got a lot of shooters on that side. And but I thought Philly had a great win. I mean, VJ Edgecombe, 30 and 10. That's a rookie of the year candidate. I know Khan is going to be up there, Cooper Flag, but Khan had a terrible end to the season from three, especially, and just terrible in the play-in. Cooper Flag is Cooper Flag. I think he's going to be a fantastic player in the NBA, but VJ Edgecombe, that dude is fire. And then Tyrese Maxey, to JRA's point, that dude is tough. That's the leader of the team. 29 and 9. He didn't shoot the best today, was only 39%, but that's the alpha on the team. They just copped a win with no Embiid against Boston with their full squad. That moves me. That is impressive. You know, Paul George is there. You know, Drummond 10 and 8 off the bench, but Tyrese Maxey and VJ, that's a backcourt. Bit on the smaller side, but it's going to be interesting to see if Philly. I have a buddy that's a Philly fan, big Philly fan since like the Iverson days. And he's also a Laker fan too, but he wants to see Tyrese Maxey really just take that alpha role. And I think he's ready for that. I think it's here. People just need to follow. And that's like Joel Embiid if he ever comes back, or they do something different and, you know, bring players around Tyrese Maxey. That guy's a hooper, fun to watch. But it was crazy that they got – so that series is tied 1-1. Blazers Spurs is tied 1-1. And we had that crazy Orlando-Detroit game yesterday where Orlando picked up a game and Detroit kind of sold a bag. I think back-to-back, thank you for the comment, my G. I hope you subscribe to the channel. I think Luka and AR take this series since we up 2-0. I feel like the team is gelling well right now without them. You agree? Good take or good question. I think the goal initially for this series was we need to extend it at all costs possible to give us a chance to get AR and Luka back. And from what I heard on X or the timeline from all the big guys is that AR is actually set to return earlier than Luca. Luca, I feel like they're kind of we're being coy about Luca's injury. It could be better than we think, and we're just not feeding it to Shams and whoever. But they said Austin Reeves has moved to 1-on-1. He's going to move to 3-on-3 soon, which is big progression and could come back towards the end of the series. Now, I agree we're up 2-0, and I think that does give AR and Luca naturally more rest, even if we lose both games in Houston, which I hope we don't. We come back to LA 2-2, and I think we might hear Austin could be on the verge of coming back. Now, the team is gelling well. They are 100%. But I think we got to think about this a little bit more. Were we not? I'd say back to back. I challenge this and say, were we not gelling in March? I thought the trio was playing fantastic. The team was rallying behind everyone. I know Luca has his style of play that's different from kind of what we're seeing now. LeBron is very much, team, make the players around him better. And he really gives that autonomy to our players, right? The ball's moving. Luca is an assassin, though. And I think you're going to need that in the playoffs. We've gotten some hot shooting, which has been great. I don't know how sustainable that is. I mean, it is Luke Kennard and Rui, which I think there's a high floor to that. But I think you remember, I'd tell you this back to back. Remember that game against Houston where we couldn't throw a rock in the ocean? It was a dogfight. And Luca was the one that kept us in that game and put down buckets and hit that 40 piece. Those crazy second halves. That's what kept us in the game when your shooting's not going well across the team. And I think we're gelling right now is because we're shooting really well from the field. I think AR and Luca give you a floor. And I definitely agree that we want the 2-0 allows them to rest. But I feel like we were still gelling when they were all there. That March run that we had was phenomenal. And it all fell apart in that OKC game for whatever reason. But we've seen Luca take it to OKC. We had a game earlier in the year where we lost by 9. We were in that game. I believe it was 9. Yeah, there were blowouts. But if you position, I'd say this back to back. We are gelling. I do agree. I do think we were gelling with all of our trio in March. That was a great example of it. But if you can get now this Luke Kennard that we're seeing with the team gelling now, this mentality off the bench, and he's empowered and he still feels empowered, even with Luca, AR, and LeBron all together, that takes us to another level. And Luca has even said, I want Luke Kennard to shoot more. The team wants him to shoot more. So I think to answer that question is it does buy us rest, which we should take advantage of. And we are gelling well, but let's not forget about March when we had that run where we were the hottest team in the NBA. And outside of that OKC game, we were having bangers across the league against over 600 teams. And that just makes us even better. If we can bottle this, what we're seeing today, right now, if we can bottle it and not let go of it, when Austin and Luca come back, your team now is even better. Much better. Good point. We were looking good in March. I appreciate that. I just think we shouldn't force them quickly to return. I think we can beat the Rockets without them. And I don't disagree with you. I don't. I think there is no rush now for Luca to return from a hamstring right away. If we were down 0-2, probably still wouldn't bring him back. If it's 2-2, you start to think, okay, we have a shot. Do we want to take the chance? Do we not? But we've bought in time. You put it this way, like we play Friday, right? We play Friday, and then I think our next game is on, so you play Friday, right? Then it's Saturday. We don't play Sunday. So we play Sunday. So Friday and Sunday, So you're talking about another week before game 5 starts on Wednesday. So even if you lose the 2 games in Houston, which knock on wood, we're not gonna manifest that. But if you let's say you do lose the 2 games, we don't play until Wednesday, so that's another week and a half, and that takes us to about 3.5 weeks, I believe. Which you're now starting to get in the time frame after Luka's procedure in Europe. Austin was about 4 to 6 weeks. If we're playing the way we're playing and we don't see tremendous shift in game 3 and game 4, I feel like I have confidence we can beat the Rockets with what we have today. Now, if we completely shit the bed and just let the rails fall off, you start to get concerned. But from everything I'm seeing now, what we talked about on the show is what are the sustainable things? We said it, defense, right? You got to defend. That has to be your number one priority. And that's where you set the floor. You got to rebound the basketball. JRA put up the second chance points. It was 21-17. The offensive rebound advantage was a lot smaller than what it was in game 1. You have to stay strong on the boards. And you have to force turnovers, and that comes with the defense, right? You do those things, you're already setting up a high floor, right? And that allows you to not lose this series or makes this series fall off the rails. Because if we see a pendulum swing and we go down 2-2, then, back to back, I don't think we can beat you start to question if you can beat the Rockets, right? Now, if you control those metrics and the games go down to the wire in games 3 and 4, and that floor is really you're really anchoring on that floor, and it's just, hey, they made big shots down the stretch, we didn't. You live with that, right? Tari Eason, Okogie have a big game. You live with that. Jabari Smith Jr. has one big game from 3. Kevin Durant goes for a 30 ball, whatever it may be. But I have confidence right now that we can beat them. I want to see how much the pendulum swings in game 3 and game 4. And if that pendulum doesn't swing and we keep up, I'm telling you, the imperatives, the intangibles that I just talked about, then yes, I 100% feel confident that we can beat without them. And that would be huge. That would be huge. Thank you for the back-to-back. I appreciate the questions, man. Keep them flying. And again, if you haven't subscribed to the show, man, stay locked in with me. You a Laker for lifer, bro. Stay tapped in. Subscribe. Follow me on X. But I appreciate the comments. Wish we didn't give Denver that 3 seed. I'd love to play the Spurs for spot the WCF while Denver has to play OKC. What's your take on that? Hey, JRA. I don't know if I want to see. Appreciate you back-to-back. Thank you. I'm looking forward to more of your comments in the next shows. Going back to this, JRA, you really want to play Minnesota, bro? You just saw what they did. That was another big upset. We didn't even talk about that. That was another big upset. Minnesota did their thing against Denver. Jamal Murray and Jokic did not have a good fourth quarter. And when you get Anthony Edwards comfy and he's feeling himself, that's dangerous. And we saw what Minnesota did to us, and I get the path is if we would have gotten Minnesota with the 3 seed, we would have played San Antonio in the second round. Probably a higher probability matchup, maybe, that obviously than OKC. I think OKC is going to – we're not going to talk about that yet. If we advance or we're on the verge of advancing, we'll talk about OKC. But I get the Spurs could be the easier matchup of OKC and the Spurs, but with us down and out with AR and Luka, who Luka shredded Minnesota during the season, they didn't have an answer for him. They threw Jaden McDaniels, whomever. AR even had some great games against Minnesota. Without them two, I don't know if I'm confident in the series first round like I am with Houston. Houston had the difference really is Houston, again, I mentioned it at the middle of the show, Houston's biggest deficiency right now is that they don't have a playmaker. So it's very hard to counter when your playmaker is Alperen Sengun. So they have a void that we are exposing right now. Minnesota don't got that void. We have the voids. So now they're throwing Anthony Edwards on Luke Kennard, and they're throwing Jaden McDaniels on LeBron. They still have Julius Randle for the physicality. You have Gobert, matching up against Ayton. You have Naz Reid off the bench. Dante DiVincenzo can handle Smart, right? Like, they got defenders, and that team is scary without Luka and AR. They don't have an answer for Luka. Now, if you would have told me, let's go get Minnesota with us healthy, for sure, I felt confident during the season because we shredded them up. I was at the first Minnesota game of the season, y'all. It was Lakers, Minnesota at home. And that's when Luka went for that. I think it was a near 40 piece. Me and my bro were at it. What he was doing to Jaden McDaniels was insane. And he's been doing that throughout the season. They don't have an answer for him. So I think we ended up in a good spot with the 4, honestly. And I get that means OKC if we were to advance in the second round. But hey, JR, we about championships here in LA, right? And at some point, you got to beat the best. Whether that's in the second round, you lose in the third round, or Western Conference Finals. We're not hanging up Western Conference Finals banners, right? We don't really pride ourselves on that. So if you have to meet OKC in the second round, it is what it is. Now, granted, it hurts that we're injured. That changes up the scenario, right? But at some point, you gotta go through the best. And I've seen us do good things against OKC, but I've also seen us get blasted. I've seen us get blasted by the Spurs. So I think from a first round perspective, to finish answering the question, I like where we ended up because, my full take, I don't know if we would have beaten Minnie. Hell, I was on another live and I didn't know how confident we were against Houston. I think there was an opportunity to be competitive and we're showing that, but I had Houston 6 games and I get the haters, but I just did not expect this level of shooting or this rise in what Luke Kennard is doing in the Marcus Smart scoring output, right? I had imperatives that I put out that if we stuck to this blueprint, and you could go to my YouTube, my TikTok, and watch that video of my 5 swing factors for the series that gives us belief. And if we executed that, we had a chance in the series. I didn't know KD was going to have a knee contusion and be hurt. So anything happens in the playoffs, right? So we're taking advantage of the situation right now beautifully, and I hope we continue it. And hey, once you're in the dance, you're in the dance. So if we were to advance and get OKC, we get OKC. But there's only so much you can expect from a team that's this injured. And I think we're doing everything we need to do and more to handle this series. But I think, the difference is the media just ran off a narrative and a perspective. Oh, we're cooked. For us Laker fans, when we're saying like, oh, this series is going to be a challenge and not be easy, is because we know what our stars bring really to the table. We know we have faith in our role players, but when they have expanded roles like this in the playoffs, you can't ever bank on that, right? So I love what we're doing right now, but I had my concerns. But I think there was definitely a formula, and we're seeing that formula kind of unveil itself. So, no, so I'm glad we didn't draw Minnesota. And I hope we advance. But Laker Nation, we're coming up on midnight. This was a fun live. I appreciate y'all tapping in with me. And again, if you haven't subscribed to the YouTube channel, please do. Engage with me, throw a comment. I respond to everything on my socials. Again, I'm a fan like y'all. I'm trying to build a community here. So, tap in with me, subscribe, like, hit the noties. We're going to be live post-game after game 3 to break it all down. I'll have some video content out in the days between, on kind of synthesizing everything we discussed today into a guidebook for game 3. But I enjoyed y'all. This is a record for me, personal record. We had 99 people in here in the chat on this live. Wanted to break 100 for the first time, but maybe we'll get that on game 3. I appreciate everyone that's in here. And again, please engage, throw the comments in the chat. That's what makes this fun. Interact with each other. We're building the community, but stay safe. We up 2-0, baby. We are up 2-0. Laker Nation, stand up. We up 2-0. Let's sleep well tonight. Let's sleep well. And let's get ready to go in Houston on Friday. It's going to be another dogfight. It's going to be another dogfight. And they're going to come out. They're going to come out with a hit. We hit 101. Let's go. New personal record on the live. I appreciate y'all. We're building something cool. I appreciate y'all. But it's going to be a dogfight. It's going to be a dogfight. Who punches first is going to be cool, but who's able to take the blow on the jaw and really get after it after that? That's going to be the key to game 3. But have a good night, y'all. Stay safe. Peace.